What's up, squad? Josh with Delta Hogz bringing you guys another video. Today we're going to go over shipping your hognose snakes. We're going to be covering hognose snakes specifically, not just reptiles, as temperatures may vary depending on what type of species you are shipping. So we're going to hop into it. Real quick packing instruction, right? I assume everybody knows how to assemble a box. You unfold it, tape up the bottom, ready to go. So on this inside, on a standard insulated box for shipping a reptile, you're going to have two bottom pieces, which are this one here. And you're going to have four side pieces. Bottom one drops in first. Side pieces all drop in and interlock there on the sides. The top obviously goes up on the top. And bam, 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 done, right? So simple, easy, not rocket science. Now, the box itself. Most of the boxes you can buy already with this printed on it. Live animal, climate control, this side up, whatnot. This is a reptiles tea box. There's Redline, Morph Market, you name it. There's a bunch of different ones. If you want to just use a normal box without this on it, you do need to probably print something like this and tape it on there. It's kind of easier just to use this. What you also need to add is some of these. These are Lacey Act labels. It's a requirement. So basically it just says harmless, non-venomous, live reptile, common species name, scientific name, the quantity of which you have in the box. I put 2 of these on each box. I cut it here. I tape one to this side in the middle, so it'll be like that. And I tape one onto the top, so when these are folded, there's one sitting right here on top. You do want to make sure they're accurately filled out. And then whatever side you don't put this on, you can just tape your FedEx label. You can print your FedEx label and tape it on with normal packing tape like you tape the box closed with, or you can slip it inside one of those little FedEx stick-on pouches and stick it on the side there. So the actual assembly of the box is pretty simple. The labeling is pretty simple. I live in Texas, so I'll have my Lacey Act on this side, and written right here I'll have my Texas non-game permit number. Because it is required to have that permit to import, export, or sell hognose in/out the state of Texas. And then if I'm shipping to like Illinois or something and they have their permit number, or any other state that does require so, I would also write that here, Illinois permit and the permit number. That's for fish and game. So they see the package, they say, hey, here's this person has a permit to ship, this person has a permit to have this in our state. We can look that up. Hey, that name that associated with that permit number does match the receiving end of this FedEx tracking package. So at that point, they may not open your package. Fish and Game can and will open packages if they see fit. They do not need approval by a shipper or the receiver. They got pretty much free reign to do what they feel like to ensure that you are following regulations and laws for not only the country, but for that particular state. I do poke holes on the top of my up arrows just for some added airflow or oxygenation. Technically, there's probably enough in this box through these corners, unless you go crazy with the tape. I poke the holes with some scissors just to be on the safe side, right? So more importantly, let's get into the packaging inside here, right? This is what most people are probably confused about. So I will use a deli cup container for most of my baby snakes. You can use a snake bag as well if you so choose. I generally would only use a snake bag for larger snakes, yearlings and up maybe, just because it's a little bit easier for them and for me than a deli cup. The deli cup should have holes in it, so if you bought ones without holes, do burn or punch some holes in there. This one probably has like 10 around the outskirts. I fill it with aspen. Some people will just use like a felt pad on the inside. I prefer the aspen. They can burrow in it, maybe makes them feel more secure. And definitely when the package is being jostled around, they're not slinging and slapping into the sides of the container because the aspen's in there holding them in place, right? I normally write the morph, so like a Superconda Het Snow, I'll write my serial number, and at that point I will wrap this with a bubble wrap. I do not have any packing material in my snake room today, so I can't physically actually show you stuffing a package full, but I take a bubble wrap or the crinkle shipping paper and I'll wrap it around the edge of this so that when it fits in between these walls, it is snug, where I'm almost having to like wedge and force it down in. And that holds it pretty centered there on the bottom. I pack more in on top, and you can toss in a business card on top of the bin, some stickers, and then pack it down. Or you can put those on the top of the bin also. That's up to you and how you'd like to pack it. You can have paperwork in here, invoices, care sheets, feeding charts for the snake you're sending. You name it. You can put whatever you want, right? Whatever you want to send to your customer. Depending on the temperature, if it's good temps for shipping, you can put the lid on and tape it up, bring it to FedEx, ready to go, right? There is just one big important thing. When you're adding all these labels, try to do that before the snake is in the container, because then you're trying to like flip it over and put all this stuff on it, and it's just, jostling the snake around. FedEx is harsh enough on packages already. There's no reason we need to be harsh on them before we even get it to FedEx. So let's talk actual temperatures for shipping, right? So my temperature ranges are generally 65 to 45 degrees. I generally try not to ship if it's colder than 45 degrees on the receiver's end or on my end, and then 95 is kind of the heat top. There's two main things I use for heat controllability. One is going to be a standard heater. This is a Uni-Heat. It's kind of the standard one that most of us will use. There are other brands. This one isn't necessarily better than the other brands, but it is the most widely used one. Uni-Heats come in 20 plus hours, 30 hours, 40 plus hours, 60 hours, and 72 hours. I suggest 60 hours or 72 hours. It's not that much more for them, and they actually seem to be more shelf stable. I've gotten some of the 20 plus and 30 hour ones, and after about a year and a half of having them, I feel like there's a high ratio of failures. Like the heating pads won't heat anymore. That may just be, my situation. I've talked to a couple other people that do agree with that. So heating pads and face packs. I say face packs. I guess you could include ice packs if you wanted to add a third item. But a face pack will do it all for you. So it'll be your ice pack. It'll be a room temperature pack, and it can be a heat source, not like a heating pad though. So don't mix that with that. Cryopack is the brand of this face pack. So let's say 95 degrees to 85 degrees, I am packing with a ice pack or a frozen cryopack face pack. It doesn't need to be cryopack. Like I said, there's other face packs. You can freeze this, and it'll basically be the same thing as a gel ice pack. It's basically swappable, right? So 90 to 85 degrees, I am 100%. I am shipping with a cool pack that is frozen, and everything that I included here that's heating or cooling is taped down to this lid. The lid is flipped over and placed on top once obviously you fill this full of packing material, right? So then we're going to go 85 to 80 degrees, 85 to 80 degrees. We are going to use, again, face pack, face pack, face pack, face pack, guys. I love face packs, but instead of freezing this one, I'll put it in the fridge, right? So I'll put it in the fridge, and that'll get it cold, but not freezing cold. It'll provide a little bit of cooling for that temperature range. All right, so another thing about cryopacks is you see how at room temperature, like this one's room temp, it's kind of got a weird shapes to it, right? If you heat these up in warm water, it'll liquefy, and then you can lay it flat, and it'll re-solidify flat. So that's what I generally do before I actually ship them. But yeah, so 85, 80 degrees, we're going to use a refrigerated face pack, just add a little bit of cooling. Some people won't do this. Some people will use a cool pack down to about 80-ish degrees instead of using a cold pack. You can do that. You can use this frozen still. That's perfectly fine, and generally it is safe. So then we're going to come over here down to the next temp ranges for me is 80 to 65. 80 to 65, you don't have to put anything in here. They will be fine in that temp range. I do also still use a face pack, a room temp face pack, just because it adds, these face packs, even at room temp, will add thermal mass in this package, right? So it'll still hold that mass of that temperature. So if there is slight fluctuation, it just adds a little bit of stability into your package. If we're going to shoot down now to a 65 to 60 range. So that range, it is getting a little cold. The snakes might need a little bit of heat. Hey guys, face pack again, right? You soak this baby in hot water. Hot water coming out of your temp, it doesn't really matter what temperature you got it. My house is generally like 115 to 120, I think, out the tap. I'll fill the sink up and I'll toss these in there, right? That's also how you can get them to lay flat when they re-solidify, but they will stay liquefied and retain that heat for thermodynamics inside this package to provide heat at that temperature. The reason why I say that is 65 to 60 is a fairly safe temp, right? Even for hognoses, like you probably don't need to have something in there. This just is a little bit of warmth, a little bit of stability, but it's still too warm to kind of put a heat pack in. Then we drop below that 60-degree mark. In that 60 to 45-degree mark, you're 100%, in my opinion, you need a heat pack, right? You want to keep those snakes warm. It is better to have a cold snake than a hot snake. I will go ahead and put that out. A cold snake is safer than a hot snake is. And what I mean by that is a snake can withstand a colder temperature for longer before it becomes detrimental to its health versus being exposed to an overheat situation. They will degrade much faster. So you want to be careful with our heat sources. Make sure you're using reptile shipping heat systems and not like hand warmers, because the hand warmers will get way too hot, and it's just better to avoid these situations. But so yeah, heat pack below 60 degrees is what I will be using. I would generally use a 60 to 72 hour. And if you want, you can also add a cryo pack in there. The reason why you would do that is because it can add stability. Like I said, if your heater goes out, this will maintain warmth for a bit longer. It's just stretching out your window in case something gets stuck, a package gets stuck or something like that. It's not needed. That's up to you. Just do know if you're adding like this and this, or even if you're adding a heat, sometimes you don't want to use a 7x7 box, which is what this is, 7x7. Sometimes you want 7x7x9, which adds a little bit of height, or you can do one that's a little bit wider. And at that point, you put the heat pack on the far side, the snake on the other far side, and then packing in between. Basically, you want distance between the actual animal and the heat/cooling source. Like I said, everything that I do in these vertical boxes will get taped to the top lid, flipped upside down. So with the heaters, though, you do need to pay attention because these can only heat through air exchange. It has to have oxygen. So if you tape this to this lid and you completely tape over everything and it can't get air, it's going to stop heating. They actually have a red line. It's kind of hard to see on the package here, but right there is a red line that runs across the actual heater on the inside. And it basically suggests, not to tape over that. So you can tape like over here, tape across this way. Follow the directions. They do need to be pre-warmed so you can ensure they are properly working. Wrap it in a towel after you open it up and move it around a bit. And you'll be able to fill it in about 30-40 minutes when it's starting to warm up. All right, so pretty simple. That's kind of the temp ranges we're going to use, and that is how you're going to kind of pack this box. In this 7x7x7 in decent temperature where I don't need any kind of cooling or heating, I can fit 3 of these little baby snake tubs in here, and I have done so before. So yeah, you can fit quite a bit in these little boxes. When you're using a heat pack, just do keep in mind you do want some distance between the animals and that heating source. It is better to keep your animal cool than it is to keep it too hot. If you ever have questions on shipping, on weather, on what hubs it might go to, reach out to people and ask. I'd rather you ask 100 people the same question to get a range of answers than to never ask that question. Because if you never ask that question and something goes wrong, that's a life that might be gone, So ask questions, hit me up, leave comments. If you guys got better heating pads, better cryo packs, better suggestions on temp ranges, feel free to leave it to me. Like I said, there is a range in here which you can operate in. I don't know everything. And some breeders do things differently. So if you got something that you like to do better than me, or you like different heat pack or a different face pack, hey, hit me up, let me know. Appreciate it, guys. That is going to be the simple how to pack your hognose snake.